Wait a second, I gotta drop something off. Yeah, we took too much shit. We gotta drop something off, dude. I don't need any of that. I don't need that. I don't need none of this. Much better. Okay, and let me put the dirt. Well, yeah. Put the dirt where the dirt is. Put the dirt where the dirt was. You big dirt ball. There you go. Okay. I'm gonna fix that hole soon. Uh-oh, what do we got here? If you can do it. I'm gonna probably end up doing, well, let's redo. Okay, here we go. Boom, and then a boom, and then boom, 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 boom. Ooh, I'll take that. Let's see. That looks really good, but still need to put some torches in. Should I? What the? Well, I still can do this.
Finishing up the one-touch warm-up here for rotation number 2 and subdivision number 3 for the women's qualification at the Ariake Gymnastics Center. Team USA started on floor exercise. It was not a great rotation for them, not what they are used to doing. They scored a 41.165. Everybody considered Russia as the biggest challenge to Team USA. Bridget, if you compare their 4 scores today, Russia beat the United States on floor by half a tenth. Nobody can tell me they predicted that.
No, but Team USA had a lot of mistakes, a lot of out of bounds, and really just not the high scores we're used to seeing, so you can't count them out just yet.
Obviously a long way to go. Emily Whitehead from Australia will start this rotation on the floor exercise.
Wow. She nailed that shit. Nice. Wow. Don't step out. Wow.
1.5 front layout. So far, not the highest difficulty.
Oh, goodness golly. Oh, my gosh.
Very nice artistry.
Oh, okay.
Only qualified to these games 3 continental championships, actually the Oceania Continental Championships.
Really? You did? I'm so happy for you.
She had to go back to Australia and she was in lockdown because of COVID and got special permission to train. And as you can imagine, the motivation in those situations has got to be so difficult and such a challenge to get ready for the biggest meet of your life. But here she is, and that looked good.
Just a nice clean set. Again, not the highest difficulty, but nice control. 1.5 to front layout. You know, you talk about a year of challenges for the world. Being an athlete during those challenges almost is like it was just heightened.
You know, I talked to a lot of the collegiate teams in the United States over the last year, and some of the things that they had to work through. The Stanford, who won the NCAA championships, wasn't allowed on their campus most of the year, so they were spread out around the country trying to train. That includes Brody Malone, who's the national champion for the USA men and competed yesterday. The Naval Academy team, they were locked into their dorms for 28 days in the middle of the season. They were let out for an hour or so to get exercise. They weren't in the gym, and yet they made it to the national championships. I mean, the things that these athletes did and the resiliency, and it's just not in America, it's around the world, is pretty impressive. 12.566 for Emily Whitehead.
How does someone know when their liver is not functioning like it should?
During this rotation,
Most people don't know.
British singer Ollie Murs gets completely embarrassed as host Grant Norton exposes the fact that he has a crush on Mila Kunis. Oh, and by the way, Mila was right next to him.
If you were a kid with any celeb,
Oh no!
who would you have?
The lead-off aeroplane hole is 11.6. So the struggles continue.
Chef Gordon Ramsay had been annoying and playfully flirting with Sofia Vergara for the majority of this interview with Jay Leno. Then this happened.
Chocolate mousse.
Maybe the first skill of your game routine, I've done that before, on how hard it is to get your brain back into the focus.
I mean, that's the name of the game because you can't just
During
call
this
it
clip
what's
from the
there.
Grand
You know,
Norton
in
show,
practice,
actress
you,
Kate
as an
Beckinsale
athlete
recalls the
at Florida,
hilarious
you
prank
had
she
to
pulled on her
finish. You
partner
couldn't just
involving a piece of
almost start
hotel
over
chocolate.
because the show must go on, but man, it's a mental game balance beam when you fall in that first skill out.
So halfway through
And that
the day at work, there was
gymnasts up for the Netherlands.
and then the horror. I've done this without even feeling it.
During this hilarious clip from the Jimmy Fallon show, actor and comedian Russell Brand uses his British charm and charisma as he flirts with Catherine McPhee.
Catherine is welcome. No, don't for the Queen. No, don't do that, please. As you know, I've announced it. I find Catherine very attractive. But when she said exchange numbers, I thought things that I'd like to exchange with her.
While on Jay Leno, Kevin Hart is joking around about Shaquille O'Neal having nothing to do with his time. Soon after, Shaquille comes out to surprise him.
I'm serious. I saw him like Home Depot 2 weeks ago. Just he was helping people. He wasn't even shopping. He was just helping people put stuff in the car. Jimmy Kimmel is completely caught off guard and uncomfortable when actress Gal Gadot asks for his opinion on her breasts. Talk about getting put on the spot.
Even with a major break, so it's so important to minimize being
I am one of them.
Really? What do you think about my breath?
Very difficult to mount around on. You saw that shoulder drop, and as soon as that right shoulder dropped, the rest of the body continued.
While discussing their biggest fears, Mark Ruffalo leaves comedian Josh Witty Coon in complete shock as he makes a witty joke.
want you to start with a flipping skill to get on beat. Just get on the beat, get in your flow, and let your acro skills be within there. Is there a philosophy of you subscribe for?
I mean, I never had a very difficult mount. I did do a press handstand, which for me that was very difficult.
But it's steady, right?
But it was very, I was very consistent. You know, your mount was
Jimmy Fallon gets embarrassed as Nicole Kidman recalls their incredibly awkward and uncomfortable date in the 90s. The funniest part is that Jimmy didn't even know it was a date.
I dated Nicole Kidman. No, I go on with her, and you're there in a baseball cap and like nothing, just like, and you wouldn't talk. You didn't say anything. You were like, mate.
She went after Emily Whitehead.
I was very nervous. This is a thing.
During this segment on the Alan Carr Show, Ariana Grande accidentally throws the ball too far. Comedian Jimmy Carr comes up with a witty joke that leaves the audience laughing and feeling awkward at the same time.
It's harder to make that jump to a team that's going to score quicker than the finals.
I mean, it definitely depends. Yeah, absolutely.
Discussing the fact that he still DJs in nightclubs, Jamie Foxx explains the uncomfortable situation he's often put in when younger women ask how old he is.
Amazing on this event.
Sort of childhood.
Oh my gosh, she's ancient. She's 27.
It was great, but we just saw something from Simone that we don't normally see. And she bounced over the line with both feet. And we have seen
While discussing what it was like to film a movie on the streets of New York City, Justin Timberlake does an impression of all the men that were hit on in Mila Kunis.
Somebody yelled at her from like they were in like a correctional facility bus. Is there
if your roundup didn't quite get turned square to the ball,
A hilarious response when she's asked whether or not Justin Bieber made a move on her while filming in a music video.
And he's at that young age where, you know, when you get to Harvard,
and that ball does have a higher
TV make a move on.
I don't believe we're going to see the Yurchenko double pipe here in the team qualification round. She did do the vault in podium training, and it was ridiculous.
During this clip from the Ellen Show, P. Diddy is explaining the fact that he is definitely not afraid of clowns. Soon after, Ellen gives him a shocking surprise.
There's so many other things to be fearful of. A clown is not going to scare you.
Really?
Yes. I'm not afraid of clowns.
But I heard that you were.
During this clip from the Conan O'Brien Show, Conan has a hilarious reaction and response when his guest, Beth Byers, accidentally grabbed Kat Dennings' boob.
And that's was Simone we know and love. I mean, truly incredible, great height.
She's not happy though, and you know what? I love it. Work hard on your sleeve. Her standards are so high for herself.
During this hilarious and also viral clip from the Wendy Williams Show, while talking about a serious subject, Wendy seemingly pauses to pass
But
gas.
still, she walks off. She knows she's and she's not afraid to be honest with herself.
You ever wondered what actors and actresses do when they have to get in shape really fast for a movie? Because I can promise you, it's not the same diet that you're following and the same training plan that you try.
Do that locker room thing. That cop wasn't
I could
playing
actually
that.
halt under
I
her.
mean, you're lucky you only got
we would both be
battery.
fine.
What if he filed for sexual assault?
Charlize Theron was completely shocked to find out that Seth Rogen worked with porn star Stormy Daniels on 2 separate occasions.
You worked with Stormy Daniels?
I did work, not in a porn film. Like, if you ever need someone to be naked in a movie, you should hire a porn star. Because it's the easiest thing they did that week.
Her standards.
While on the Graham Norton Show, Jamie Foxx is faced with an awkward situation as he's asked to explain the spicy lyrics from his R&B song, and the Stones' reaction when she finally gets it is hilarious.
You're going to see similar vaults to what Simone just performed. She kind of went for that stick almost a little too much. Ended up taking a slight hop, but
right there between your
just a cut down on the landing for Michaela.
I know this technically doesn't count as talk show, but during this fun game of playground insults, Kevin Hart exposes Dwayne Johnson's secret butt tattoo.
It's almost not fair.
That's Eddie Murphy. That's not my movie.
Oh, very, very nicely done.
Okay. It was great.
Just that slight height, you see, she really wants that stage for It's just a very slight step forward.
Dwayne's got a tattoo right above his ass that says, "Come on."
Round off the as the champ.
During this clip from the Jimmy Fallon show, Donald Trump gives Jimmy a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to mess up his hair.
And sometimes that's the hardest thing.
During this hilarious segment on the Conan O'Brien show, Kevin Hart is very anxious about standing on the street corner waiting for their ride.
Very nice score. You want to put that ball in your back pocket.
He is too fucking short, man.
We're not selling any ass, ladies. We're trying to buy any ass. Because this is where you're going to find it. We ain't selling ass over here.
After getting an x-ray in an attempt to prove that her butt is real, Kim Kardashian lets Alan Carr feel it, just to make sure.
Not bad. You know, she had a lot of height, a lot of very great distance, but the landing, it looked like it came a little bit as a surprise. She wasn't quite ready for it. Buckled her knees a little bit, ended up taking a big step forward.
Oh, you gotta be kidding, dude.
While on the Graham Norton show, Jennifer Lawrence recalls a very awkward and embarrassing situation she faced when she tried to approach J.J. Abrams and the Star Wars cast.
I was like, be right back, guys. We're going to say hi to the Star Wars kids. And I approached their table and was like, and they all, the whole table was just like, and so I realized while I was dancing, I was like, I have no idea who I am.
Everything in real life looks good while having intercourse, and the only reason sex tapes look good is because they know that they're being filmed.
Nobody, I can't imagine that someone would look good whilst having intercourse, not knowing they're good. But you know, anytime someone has a sex tape, it's beautifully lit, they've got the good angles, they're like, that's right, that's like over the shoulder.
During this clip from the Graham Norton show, Nicole Kidman lightheartedly calls out Graham for bringing up a picture of her kissing Alexander Skarsgård.
Those athletes are vying in those spots as well. Just give you what we have now and speculate.
Why are you showing that?
It's a lovely moment of celebration, Nicole.
Kiss my husband too.
Well, then he is right there.
In this hilariously inappropriate clip, Nicki Minaj performs a live freestyle about Stephen Colbert. I really hope his wife wasn't watching the show at the time.
I might Steven after the show. He's gonna come back to work with a magical glow, but I wasn't done, Steven. When you see us, please don't stare. Just address me as Queen Nikki Colbert.
While discussing her apparent earlobe fetish on the Conan O'Brien show, Evangeline Lilly leans over to check out Conan and Andy's earlobes to see who she prefers.
I'm always checking out people's earlobes to see if they've got a good one.
Yeah, well, really get in there, that's nice.
How's cut?
Oh my God! Why him?
Oh,
mine gets bigger if you just keep.
Jennifer Lawrence is brought to tears when comedian Jack Whitehall tells a hilarious story about a Spanish restaurant toilet that wouldn't flush.
Alexa flush, it went down straight away.
While on the Graham Norton show, Jamie Foxx recalls his very nerve-wracking and embarrassing first encounter with Tom Cruise while doing an audition with him.
Tom Cruise reads his line, but it was like this. So I thought he lost his place. Because when we were right, he says, I know, I said the line, I'm waiting on you. I'm like, oh. I went blind, the whole that.
Seth Meyers gives a very shocked reaction to Rihanna's very inappropriate appropriate recommendation on how to impress his wife on Valentine's Day.
I want, like, blow my wife away. With, like, a romantic
Two-time senior all-around champion, Georgia Godwin, for Australia, and you see a score of 5.
While discussing his days coming up as an unknown comedian, Kevin Hart shares one story in particular about a male strip club and a buffalo wing.
I remember this dude from the back, he's like, that's enough. And he just threw a buffalo wing at me. It landed, hit me in the cheek, a little bit of sauce, got like, I assumed it was a woman with a deep voice, so I was like, who threw it? Who threw it? And he was like, I did it. And I contemplated just taking it.
Shouldn't the way you charge your device be just as good as the device itself? I mean, don't you think the chargers today are pretty sad and crappy? With messy wires everywhere, and they also break all the time. But what's crazy is that your phone actually charges wires. That's wireless. You don't even need the wires.
By far, she's got to go to bars and
You're amazing.
From this clip from the Brian Martin show, while talking and showing off her new butt tattoo, the rest of the guests discuss how lucky the tattoo artist is.
On uneven bars, competing for Team Jamaica.
The guy that did it is
Francis.
actually an exceptional artist. Like, he's not
I think this is a farewell. And
He's a looking bastard is what he is.
During this hilarious clip from the Ellen Show, Dwayne Johnson and Kevin Hart roast each other's baby and teenage photos as they pull up on the big screen.
You look like a detective that's a DJ. Are you not doing that?
I actually brought a picture of Kevin for you guys when he was 16 as well. There he is, yeah. Look at you. He's doing this. I wish I was this tall, but I'll never get this tall.
Amanda Holden shows off her incredible gymnastic skills as she performs a handstand for the audience, and the guests on the couch definitely didn't mind seeing that.
of course it is, but when you're
Oh my God.
I mean,
I can't believe you're doing this.
that was a
In a dress. God damn.
After being asked what the
Oof.
secret is to getting women, Russell
damn.
Brand turns on his flirt mode as he tries to charm the host. Oh yeah, did I mention?
Collegiately.
Brought a picture of Kevin for you guys when he was 16 as well. There he is, yeah. Look at you. He's doing this. I wish I was this tall, but I'll never get this tall.
Amanda Holden shows off her incredible gymnastic skills as she performs a
Never heard
handstand
of
for
her.
the audience, and the guests on the couch definitely didn't mind seeing that.
I still love the sport of gymnastics, and I don't want to have any regrets. I mean,
Ugh.
just a really great individual.
We saw there was an inquiry on Ethora Tor's daughter's beam score. She has a 12.033. Like Favors, who was right after her, put up a 13.366. So much better score. Sane Favors in the anchor spot for the Dutch. Certainly trying to make the event finals. And just to update you, Jade Carey gets a 15.166 on both of her vaults. So the average, obviously, that very number. And she will edge out Michaela Skinner. Only two can make it to the finals. Skinner with a 14.866 average. So Jade Carey slips into second spot on vault just behind Simone Biles. So there you go. One question answered, right?
That's right, and wow. Wow, wow, wow. Team USA.
And you can see that vault score of a 44.199. This is an event that Team USA absolutely should dominate the rest of the world. And so far here in this competition, they do, although just about 3 or 4 tenths ahead of the athletes from Russia on this event. I think a lot of people thought that margin would be a bit wider. The Dutch team currently sits in the 7th spot out of 7 teams that have so far gone in the qualification rounds. 12 teams total competing here at the Olympic Games. Top 8 teams go into the team finals, also at stake, as we've mentioned numerous times, all-around finals and individual event finals. One thing about Team USA, they're loose.
They are loose and they're smiling. They're having fun. I mean, they know
They're loose.
that
Hello.
they do, but you can have fun and do your job at the same time. I mean, look what we're doing.
Absolutely. All we do is have fun, though, I think. So the all-around standings right now, too. We see Sane Favors. Just to look at the all-around standings real quick, too. We mentioned Jade Carey with her 2 best events under her belt. She has the lead over Simone Biles in 2nd place. Other Americans, Michaela Skinner is in 5th place, but also her 2 best events, the floor exercise and the vault, are behind her, so that'll be interesting. Jordan Childs is the next American. She's in 10th. Grace McCallum in 13th. Suni Lee is actually the lowest American all-arounder right now, even though she was the 2nd place finisher at championship trials. But
that's fucking
she just got through her 2 toughest events. Her 2 best events are bars and beam. This is going to be a really interesting fight for the Americans in that 2nd all-around position. We're still waiting for one of the scores to come in. Sane Favors actually on balance beam. And then we will rotate. The United States has completed the floor exercise in the vault. They will go to bars next. They'll finish on the balance beam. The Dutch team will go to the floor exercise. They will finish on the vault. The other 2 groups, obviously mixed groups in this session. So, Bridget, we mentioned that the U.S. women had not lost a world championship since 2010. Do you know what happened in 2010? Were you familiar with, like, who was on that team? Were you? You were up.
Yes, I was on that team.
I'm just giving you a hard time because you got medals at home. You have so many medals you use them for drink coasters, I'm pretty sure. So I'm over here just still hoping to get one of yours if you have a spare one.
Of course. Which one would you like? Olympic, World Championship?
I'll take state meet. Give me the state meet. Trying to pick each other up. Tor's daughter had that tough mount to her balance beam routine. The veterans there trying to remind them, hey, we've got a lot of gymnastics yet to go. And how frustrating is this? I mean, this beam judging has doubled the length of the 2nd rotation. As an athlete, how hard is that? How much does that take you out of your rhythm? We saw Team USA, they're lined up ready to go. Is this a challenge? How do you mentally approach this if you're on that team?
Oh, I'm saying it's a mental challenge. You nailed it on the head because you're standing there, you're ready to go. And you are at the mercy of these judges who are definitely taking their time. And it's really all about getting your focus up and then bringing it down. So this is the downtime. You saw Team USA, they're loose, they're having fun. You saw a lot of smiles, which is always nice to see. And then as soon as they start marching over to that next event, I think they'll kick it in gear.
So teams can inquire on a score, but what they can inquire about is the difficulty portion of the score. They can't inquire about the execution. That's a very subjective part. And you can see their score was changed. And I'm wondering if it was that mount. You know, she made it onto the beam. I guess maybe the question is, do you give her credit for that skill? Did she stay on the beam long enough? And judging by the fact they raised her score, I'm guessing that maybe they did. If that's the skill they're looking at, what do you think, Bridget?
I totally agree. You know, both feet did land on the beam first. She was on the beam and then took a couple steps back. But really, that was the only thing in my head, from what I saw, that you could really question. All of her connections looked smooth. All of the difficulty, in my opinion, was there. It was just the fall in the very beginning.
So now Sane Favors gets to wait to see what her score is, which again is getting to be a little painful at this point, certainly if you're the Dutch team. Right now, to get into the balance beam final as it stands at the moment of this portion of the competition, the 8th place gymnast, Ashikawa Urara from Japan, who honestly I thought was going to be one of the favorites to win balance beam. She qualified as an individual through the World Cup Series. She has a 13.9. Very unlikely that that score is going to hold up. But right now, that is what Sonny Babers needs to do to get into the finals. The 4th place athlete on beam has a 14.1. I would think you probably want to be over a 14 just to give yourself a shot. Looking at some of the other event totals right now, we mentioned vault. Top 3 on the vault are Americans. 4th and 5th place are gymnasts from Russia. Mai Murakami from Japan sitting in the 6th spot. The uneven bars were dominated by the athletes from Russia. Just smoked the top 4 scores, ranging from a 14.766 up to a 14.966. Now, I do think one of those athletes qualified as an individual, so it didn't count toward the team score, but I would suspect that is an event, and we talked about the Russian team, going to be hard-pressed to beat them if you're the Americans.
Oh, absolutely. And you have to take today as, of course it is a stepping stone, getting to those team finals, all of the individual finals, but you're even more comfortable on the apparatus the next time you're up there. So for these team finals, Russia knows how those bars bounce. They know the feel of it. They're only going to get better.
You saw the judging panel up there. I love that they got the boards in between them, like don't cheat on my homework kind of thing. Did they give you those in school?
Yes, they did. Of course. Binders up.
Binders up. You know, these are the best judges in the world, and I'm going to throw them under the bus right now. There's no way that this should be taking as long as it is. Obviously, you want to get it right. You don't want to rush it through. Olympic medals potentially are at stake, especially with an athlete like Sonny Babers, who's a defending Olympic champion on balance beam. But also, there's a finite number of solutions here, and you would think they would have run through them at this point.
You would definitely think so. Yeah, as an athlete, you're down there, you're trying to stay loose. You see a lot of them are walking around, doing some ankle pumps, some toe raises.
Back to the individual events. The next 3 highest scores, by the way, on the uneven bars are all Chinese gymnasts. So China and Russia really came out strong on that event. Looking at the balance beam, the top 2 are Chinese athletes right now. Larissa Yordaki, actually, we didn't get a chance to see her. She competed in the first rotation on balance beam, and she is in the 3rd spot, but we didn't see it happen. But apparently she landed her beam dismount and then went down to the ground with what appeared to be an ankle injury, and she did get up and walk off, but you got to hope that she's healthy. That's a great chance for her to win a medal on the only event she's competing here at these games.
Oh, absolutely. And being healthy, that's the name of the game, and seeing her grab that ankle, not what you want to see after a beam routine or after any routine.
Team USA is gripped up, and they are wondering what is happening.
I think if I was in their position, I would be either Simone or Jordan. You notice they are sitting. We call that energy conservation.
Yeah, that seems at some point get comfortable. You don't want to get too comfortable though, right?
Definitely don't want to get too comfortable, but I was very good at conserving energy. That was something I really pride myself on as an athlete.
So you talked about Jordan Childs a bit, and everyone's known who Jordan Childs is, but I think until this 2021 calendar flipped and Loren and Cecilia Landy got a hold of her in really one of the more remarkable coaching jobs, I think it's fair to say. A lot of people point to what they've done with Simone, and certainly you can't take that lightly, but I think even the greater accomplishment is what they've done with Jordan. She came in and she just had no confidence, and Cecile talked about that. I've never seen an athlete with so little confidence, and they turned her around mentally, emotionally, and gymnastically, and it's really been quite a job they've done with her.
Yeah, this whole entire year has been a statement for her. I mean, again, you talk about the confidence. That's not something that you really can just teach and happen overnight. I mean, it has been a long journey for her, and she has really just become this amazing, impressive athlete that I think we all knew she was capable of. We all knew it was in her somewhere, and man, you talk about opening the floodgates. She really has made a statement this entire year.
Yeah, and I think some people maybe were doubting early on, but she kept doing it, and finally she can't be denied. And she earned that spot, and there she is, and she's got a chance to be in the all-around finals. We're going to go to break. When we come back, we'll get Sane Weber's score, and hopefully we'll be moving on to the third rotation here in Subdivision 3. So for Sane Webers from the Netherlands, the magic will not be repeated, unfortunately, here in Tokyo. She scores a 13.866 for her balance beam routine. It was a nice routine, had a little bit of a wobble here and there, but that puts her in 10th place currently, Bridget, and unfortunately she will not get a chance to defend that gold medal.
It's just really a shame. I know that she was going into this Olympic Games wanting to be back in that event final, and balance beam, it's just such a tricky event. I mean, in my opinion, it's definitely the hardest event. It's 4 inches wide, but the judges were definitely taking their time, and they were really just getting every little error, any little deduction, and unfortunately it cost her getting into those event finals.
So a disappointment for the team from Netherlands, and it's not been a great night overall for them as a team either, unfortunately. They are in the 7th spot currently out of 7 teams. The team from Russia is in first place. When you're comparing 2 rotations between all the sessions, United States in 2nd, China in 3rd, Italy in 4th, Japan in 5th, Great Britain in 6th, and as I mentioned, Netherlands in 7th. And speaking of the Netherlands, they are starting on the floor exercise with Vera van Pol.
Too much rotation on that 2.5, and you talked about John Howe. The Netherlands have not had the greatest day today, but right now they just need to go out there and put it all on the line. You're at the Olympic Games.
And keep in mind, they've only done 50% of their gymnastics, 2 rotations to go, and one thing you don't want to do in sport, certainly not in gymnastics, is take your foot off the gas. You just don't know how things will play out.
Nice start, clean, had nice control on those landings. You saw the 2.5 twist, just a little bit of a step forward, but overall, not a bad start.
You'd like to see them just string together some great routines, get some energy going, get some positivity. They finished being well the last couple of routines, and now they're on to floor exercise, and they got a good start.
And you said it, get the energy up. They are lacking one of the most important aspects in an arena, and that is the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
So you really have to depend on your teammates to keep that energy up.
And I wonder for Team USA how they're handling that, because they have come off of the USA Championships and Olympic trials in front of a sold-out crowd in St. Louis, and now you come out and it's your own teammates. That's who you got cheering for you. And I think mentally that's got to be a bit of an adjustment, if not a challenge.
I think if you feed off of a crowd, it definitely would be a challenge, but, I struggled with competing growing up and being out in front of a crowd, and so for me, this would probably be very nice.
Well, for the men, we usually didn't get crowds, so it would have been right in our wheelhouse. DK Weber, as you can see, getting ready to go. Getting some last words from Vera van Pol. I'm going to say facial expressions in gymnastics, top notch. They got to be the best in any sport, right?
As soon as you start taking pictures of these individuals doing dismounts off bars,
gotta love it.
You wonder, that's not the face I made.
12.9 for Vera van Pol, and we mentioned DK Weber's 6 minutes junior to her twin sister Sanne, and really, in a lot of ways, been the face of the Netherlands for the last 5 or 6 years.
And over on uneven bars, Grace with a 14.1 to start things off for Team USA.
And that's not a bad score for her, but when you start to look at what the Russians did, you got to think, hey, Team USA is going to have to do quite a bit better than that. VK took some time off of gymnastics after the 2016 games into 2017 and traveled a bit, did some clinics around the world, and really kind of needed to find her motivation again for the sport, and she did, coming back and making this 2021 team.
Really nice job. She is giving me very strong Nastya Lukin vibes. I kind of felt like that too. I was watching out there, just the way her movement, she was so just graceful with her artistry and her tumbling. Again, you talk about control. She had it on every single pass.
Just happens to be that her hero and idol is Nastya Lukin. That's a good idol to have, I think.
Absolutely. First pass, double tuck. Not the highest difficulty, but we've been really talking about those execution scores.
She does have her own skill on floor exercise. It's a triple turn with the leg raised horizontal throughout the triple turn. It's an E value. And she's going to submit that for hopefully getting her name put to it. Lieke is the second gymnast to go for the Netherlands. Forsdaughter will be the third gymnast. And now Georgia Godwin on ball for Australia.
Very nice ball, great amplitude off the ball. You saw how high in the distance from the ball. That's what the judges are looking for. And a nice landing.
Shades of Mary Lou Retton, 1984. Although the vault table looks quite a bit different than it did. Sukahara laid out with a full twist.
Just a little pike down and just a slight hop, but again, a nice block off the table. Overall, a very clean ball.
Lieke favors a 12.866. Not a bad score on a 14.7 start value. What do you think she's writing down, Bridget?
It's a really interesting question.
All right, now over to the uneven bars. Team USA, Jordan Childs, just a 12.866, and it looks like she had a major break in that routine, which I didn't see it. So I can't say that's the first time I've seen Jordan have a mistake. Here we go with Simone Biles, trying to get things right for Team USA. They just have not been sharp in this subdivision.
And if we had to pick an event that, quote, is a weaker event for Simone, it would be uneven bars, but so far just a minor leg separation.
One thing about her on bars is she's not timid, though. She goes after it.
And you kind of have to in this dismount.
Nicely done. A lot of times on weaker events, and I could say this about myself, you're a little intimidated. You're like, oh man, this is not my best event, and it's hard to get that edge. But she goes at this event like, hey, this is my favorite event. And she just is aggressive. Maybe not the skills that some of the top in the world have, but she's been a World Olympic finalist caliber on the uneven bars.
Oh, absolutely.
Georgia Godwin, 13.766 for that vault. So for the moment, Simone Biles stops the bleeding for Team USA after that unfortunate Jordan Childs 12.866.
Had a little bit of leg separation on that transition, but a huge Tkachev. right over the bar.
As it stands right now on the uneven bars, if you're looking at finalist material, Simone Biles needs to score better than a 14.233 to get into the top 8. Certainly that score is going to go up with the last 2 sessions yet to go. She wants to give herself a great shot of being in there. Probably need to be more in the 14.5. Now keep in mind, in the standings there's 4